Well, hello everyone. So today our team is going to present our analysis on mental health and music listening habits. So in today's society, which is a fast-paced society, stress and anxiety are the most prevalent. So it was important for us to understand, it was crucial for us to understand the potential effects of our music listening habits on our well-being. So there's our research. To begin with, we wanted to see if preferences for certain music genres have a significant impact on mental health outcomes. So to do so, we gather information from different data, such as the music genre, the age category distribution of the respondent, the mood status, and finally the mental health outcomes such as depression, OCD, anxiety, and insomnia. So additionally, what we wanted to do was to show how they are interconnected between each other. So if we choose to click on rock for the music genre, we can see that suddenly people who answer the survey tend to feel for the mood status. It was equally distributed between worsen and improve. Also, we can see that young adults tend to be the one who listen to the most of rock. And finally, on the bottom, you can see that people felt like their level of depression was quite high, unlike their OCDs. But what if we wanted to see, like, for the young adults who listen to rock, right? Well, young adults tend to feel like their mood worsen instead of improve. And we can also see, like, at the bottom with the graph, that their depression level was way higher of the rest of the sample that we have. Now, for the rest of this analysis, we had to answer another question, which was, what is the relationship between duration of listening to music and mental health? Well, to do so, we did a correlation coefficient, which show the relationship between two values, which is for us the music listening duration and the mental health outcome. We can see that there is a small but positive relationship between them, and the graph shows it in a better way. Now, for the next part, we wanted to see how the duration of timing of music listening influence mental health differently. Well, we choose to display it with four graphs. One, we can see on the top left that most users tend to listen to 0 to 3 hours, and with a notable minority which listen to 9+ hours. We also wanted to show how, like, the sessions were, like, distributed. We can see that most people tend to listen to during the evening and the afternoon, and fewer sessions during the night and the morning. Now, as you can see on the bottom left, people who listen to 0 to 3 hours were the one who were the less impacted by the different mental health issues that we gather. Unlike the people who listen to 9 to 12, where you can see that there is a spike into anxiety and depression. And people who listen to 13 hours plus of music during the day tend to feel like insomnia was rising. Now, for the last part of that slide, we can see that people who listen to music, like, during nighttime had increased level of OCD and increased level of depression, unlike the people in the morning who had higher anxiety and insomnia. Now we can see that people in the evening didn't have that much trouble. It was lower for them for the insomnia part. And finally, people who listened to music during the afternoon had low level of anxiety, depression, and OCD. So now for the rest of the analysis, I'm going to give the microphone to my colleague Juan Jose, who is going to show you the rest. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Duncan. We also wanted to analyze the results of the people that believes that their mental health got worse thanks to listening to music. First of all, we can see that this group only represents the 2% of the population. Their favorite genres are rap, pop, R&B, and video game music. Now, there's also an important factor, and it's the exposure to music that these people have. And as we can see, it's a range between 1 to 5 hours per day. Now, the last analysis that we wanted to make is what happens when we listen to music at work. First of all, 75% of the people listen to music while working. The most used genres to listen to at this context are rock, pop, and metal music. But we found that the average level of depression, anxiety, and insomnia tends to be the same regardless if we listen to music or not during work. So basically, the context does not impact our mental health. What we found is that listening to lo-fi, for example, represents a higher level of anxiety in general, the same for sessions that last longer than 4 hours per day. Finally, we did a random forest prediction model in order to forecast some outcomes based on our data. What we found is that if we listen to music, our mood is going to improve with a 72% of probability. Our main conclusions are that there's a positive relationship between listening to music and our mental health. We should limit our listening to music daily, maximum of 3 hours per day, and we would try to do it during the afternoon or during the evening. And it would be more beneficial for us if we listen to music like gospel, classical, or R&B during work. Thank you for listening, and don't listen to lo-fi while working. Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having us today. We are Urgent Co., a real estate consulting firm specializing in data-driven analysis to support our customers in helping them in making the best decision based on their needs and preferences when it comes to investing in a property. Before we get into the details of the presentation, you will see in the maps that we will be showing that the darker the color, the higher the value, but you will understand. Before I give you the details when it comes to the prices, I need to make one thing clear. France is divided into 90 plus administrative areas, and we call them départements, and that's what we took as a reference here for our study. And when we started working, we looked at one very important thing, you guessed it. So we came up with a KPI that's called CAGR, for compound annual growth rate. Basically, it's the profitability level of a given area. So if you have a CAGR of 5, you buy something that's worth 100,000 euros. Within the following year, it's supposed to be worth 105,000 euros. We can see that the top 3 areas are Gironde, Maine-et-Loire, and Rhône. And if we take a closer look at the highest values that we have besides these 3, we can see that areas showing the highest level of profitability tend to be on the Atlantic coast. So simply put, if you want to make money with your investment, make sure you're close to the ocean. And we also looked at the various types of premises that we can find, basically apartments and houses. We have an overall CAGR for the country, and we can also look at it by département. And if we look at the type of premise, here, apartments, we see that despite prices going up pretty much anywhere in the country, in some areas, if you buy an apartment, it can have a negative CAGR, which means that your investment might not be completely worth it if you want to make a profit with your property. But when we look at houses, despite some areas having a very low CAGR, it still remains positive. So you can expect that if you buy a house in France, you can make a profit. Sometimes it's going to be very low, sometimes it's going to be high, but it might be more secure if you want to make money with your investment to buy a house rather than an apartment. And now that we have looked at the price, we also need to take into account other factors for our purchase process. And I will let my colleague Eliane tell you about tourism.
Hold on, is it? Oh, yeah, it's working, sorry. All right, so France is a highly visited country and presents a wide range of attractions. It has a very high density of touristic venues, hence the numerous dots that's a bit chaotic on the map. We have ranked the departments based on the number of attractions they have, and we made a list of all the types of attractions we have in the country, as you can see, like castle, historic monuments, water, museum, and so on. And we're going to take a concrete example. we selected precisely the beach attraction. So there you can see, you can have an instant overview of the main beaches for all the country, as well as a focus of the areas that have the most beaches. For example, Var, Finistère, Medecine, and so on. Taking this into account, these elements will be important to calculate the attractiveness score. So the attractiveness score is an indicator showing the desirability of a department from a touristic standpoint, which includes the importance of attractions in a given area, as well as the volume of venues in a sold area. But before looking to all the departments, we've seen an outlier in our analysis, which was Paris. Surprise, surprise. Because it has an extremely high density of attraction, and it's one of the most visited cities in the world. And for the other departments that are really interested in attractiveness, you have Bouches-du-Rhône, Gironde, and Loire-Atlantique. So if you're interested into investing tourist-wise, you can go with the three of them. But it is fun, or not it is fun, it is fun to take account prices and tourism, but we need to take in account the climate risk, which Kanin will let us talk, that she will talk all about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Eliane. So over the past few years, we have seen a growing concern regarding climate risk. As you can see on the map, there is this map is the average level of climate risk for each department. So for instance, if we go with Alpes-Maritimes, the department number 6, you can see directly on the map, where is it? Also, you can see the different type of risk that there are in this area. So coastal flood, extreme heat, landslide, etc. Also, you can see the risk level it is attributed to the type of risk. Moreover, you can also decide to go with knowing where in France there is some coastal flood with a high risk. So directly in the map, you're going to see all the different departments you should avoid if you really don't want to go with coastal flood risk. We also decided to calculate the overall score for each department. This score is based on 24. The minimum value in France is 6 for a department, and the highest value for France is 19. For instance, if we go with Bouches-du-Rhône, Bouches-du-Rhône is one of the highest risk. Is it indeed the highest, most at-risk area? You can also see with this graph that you can see exactly the high for coastal flood. It is a high risk. Extreme heat is medium. Landslide, river flood, it's really descriptive. With all these different variables, we have created a tool, a custom solution that will help you make the right decision. This will help you make the right decision regarding your preferences, but also regarding the weight you will assign to each of the variables. So let's go with for instance, one of our last customer that came last week to our office, Mr. Dupont. He wanted to make an investment, and he wanted to make it based mainly on growth. So we went with 80% for growth. We also went to 10% for tourism and also 10% for climate risk. You can see on the map that in this map, the darker the better. And for instance, Rhône is one of the better score for this kind of investment. Also, we had another client named Mr. Lafleur. She was really concerned about climate risk. So we decided to go with a 70% regarding climate risk, 10% for tourism, and also 20% for growth. We can see that maybe the department Mayenne would be an interesting score for her and an interesting investment. But that's not all. We also wanted to create a model that could predict a range price, for a given property. And I will let Reza, our in-house expert, talk more about this. Thank you.
Well, why do we need a prediction model? So far, our main focus was on understanding how to invest in the existing properties based on some factors like price growth rate, climate risk, and tourist attraction score. However, what happens if we encounter some properties without any pricing data or a new listing that has come onto the market recently? To address this challenge, we use and tuned a classification model named Catboost Classifier for this end. By using this, we took some parameters, some factors like department, number of tourists, size, number of rooms, property type, surface, and sales year into account to predict the range for prices. By applying this model to our dataset, we achieved the accuracy score of over 80%, which is both reliable and reasonable for this kind of the problem. Here we generated 3 new possibility that fall into the same class, I mean the price range. The third one, located at Eron, not only has the largest surface area, but also it has the lowest risk regarding the climate score, I mean 8 out of 24. So we can choose this option as the best one for investment. As a conclusion, by taking a scientific and holistic approach based on the data-driven decision making and various significant factors, we are here to help you to make a robust and reliable decision for your investment with peace of mind. So good success.